Large language models are kind of like these incredible brains in a jar. They can think, they can reason, they can write, but to be truly useful, they really need hands. They need the ability to actually interact with the world, to connect to our tools and get things done. Today, we're going to break down two really powerful ways to give your AI those hands. Okay, so here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with the core problem, then we'll explore two competing solutions, the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, and the newer Claude skills. We're going to put them head-to-head and wrap up with a clear framework to help you choose the right tool for your next project. Let's do it. All right, so let's get grounded in the fundamental limitation we're all trying to solve here. This is really about moving AI beyond just being a simple chatbot and into a world where it can actually do things when we ask it to. Just imagine an AI that doesn't just answer your questions, but can actually take action for you. An AI that can, say, query your Notion database, create a new branch in your GitHub repo, scrape a website for some data, and then build a whole PowerPoint presentation from the results, all from just a single natural language prompt. That's the leap we're talking about, from conversation to real action. So that brings us right to our first solution, the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. The way to think about this one is as the established enterprise-grade approach. It's about building a central nervous system for your AI, connecting it to the outside world in a really structured and scalable way. So the key takeaway here is that MCP is designed to be a universal standard, kind of like USB-C. It's an open protocol, which means it defines a common language for any AI application to talk to any external tool. This creates this awesome vendor-neutral integration layer, the backbone of that nervous system we talked about, that's reusable and incredibly robust. And this diagram really shows you how it works. You've got your main AI app, that's the host. Now, for every tool it needs, it uses a dedicated client to connect to a server that represents that tool. This setup is fantastic for security, by the way, because each tool's credentials stay locked away on its own server. Plus, you get a super clear, auditable trail of every single action the AI takes. Okay, now let's switch gears and look at a totally different philosophy with Claude skills. If MCP is about building that big, centralized AI nervous system, then skills are all about equipping your AI and your team with a set of nimble, custom power tools for specific jobs. The core idea here is just beautifully simple. A skill is literally just a folder. Inside that folder, there's a markdown file with instructions and maybe a few little helper scripts. You're basically packaging up expertise. Think of it like an onboarding guide for a new hire, so the AI can just pull up that knowledge whenever it needs to perform that one specific task. Now, this is where things get really clever. The AI doesn't just load every detail of every skill into its working memory. No way. It just scans the metadata, like a tiny little summary, to find a match for what you asked. Only then does it load the full instructions. This is called progressive loading, and it is incredibly token efficient, which is just a fancy way of saying it's smart about how much information it processes. This saves you money and makes the AI faster and more focused. Okay, so we have two very different philosophies for solving the same problem, right? The robust central nervous system versus this decentralized set of power tools. Let's put them side by side and see how they really stack up. This table pretty much says it all. MCP, our central nervous system, is the undisputed champ of portability and centralized governance. No question. But then you have skills, our power tools, and they absolutely win on ease of use. Anyone who can write Markdown can make one. And, like we just saw, they are way, way more token efficient. All right, so let's get down to what really matters. How does this all build into a practical decision framework? Knowing the strengths and weaknesses of each, when should you choose one over the other? The crucial point is you're going to reach for MCP when you're building that central AI nervous system. If you need secure, auditable access to live enterprise systems, or if you're creating a single integration layer that's going to serve lots of different AI hosts, MCP is designed from the ground up for that kind of robust, governed environment. And on the other hand, you should be leaning towards skills when you want to hand out those powerful, task-focused tools. If your goal is to empower your team to quickly automate their own repeatable workflows, things like generating weekly reports or enforcing brand guidelines, skills are going to give you the fastest path with the lowest overhead. It's all about templates and checklists, not building out a whole server infrastructure. This quote just perfectly captures the excitement around this idea of democratizing AI capabilities. Because these power tools are so simple and so accessible, they're basically just text files, the barrier to creating them is incredibly low. And this has led a lot of people to believe that we're on the cusp of this massive wave of community-created skills, a true Cambrian explosion of shared expertise. So there you have it, two really distinct paths for giving AI hands. You can build the structured, scalable nervous system with MCP, or you can distribute a whole versatile set of power tools with skills. The question for you as a developer is no longer if you can build more capable AI agents, but what are you going to choose to build first, and which approach is the right one for that job?